And I said this, a month ago? I highlighted him on Butt First, and I said this dude will be the steal in the draft. I'm telling you, Nick, everybody needs to move this guy up on their board. They need to take him from a second-day guy to probably the end of the first round. If you need a quarterback, if you want a guy that can come in and compete right away, this is your guy. Let it come back in the Senior Bowl, all right? Beautifully. Like 2 touchdowns in the third quarter. Absolutely love him, resident GM, Kellen Mond.
See, there you go. That's the type of analysis that America is looking for. Here's what we're not looking for.
What is
your old buddy Kevin Wildes woke up doing some research for the show, goes on to Bleacher Report and sees this article. Former NFL wide receiver Brandon Marshall says he'd outclass Deontay Wilder in a fight. I've been publicly against this. I've been privately against this. I pulled Brandon aside, even though I've actually never been in the same room with him. Here's another quote from him. No, I don't have a win under my belt, or a loss, or a knockout. So when I was against it, I was like, Brandon, this isn't good. This is dangerous. He's a professional fighter. Wrong tact for me, Nick. I should have appealed to Brandon's ego. Be like, Brandon, you're undefeated, dude. There's no reason to take any risk here and put a blemish on your perfect record. So that's my new tag. Brandon, you're Mr. Perfect.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah. Guys, it's worse than you think. I'm gonna play for you some audio from our dear friend and colleague, Brandon Marshall. Please just hit it. Please.
Deontay Wilder, obviously, we know him for his power. I mean, he's a freak athlete. But what I would say is I would challenge Deontay Wilder to dive a little deeper into the sweet science. And that's where I think I separate myself from a lot of these heavyweights is the sweet science. I'm going to outbox him. I'm going to outclass him if I ever get that opportunity. And I'll say this, too. You know, if it doesn't happen before September, I'm going to retire.
Grand opening, grand closing. Brandon Marshall threatening his retirement from a sport he's never actually participated in. Brandon, I watched this entire interview. I don't doubt your sincerity. I do doubt your sanity. You, at one point in the interview, said you would need to fight Wilder as a warm-up to fight someone else. Brandon, what if he says yes?
James Wilson is the real dog.
Yeah, James Wilson. You're not worried about Anthony Joshua or Deontay Wilder. James Wilson, who must be a Sasquatch because he's the only person you're afraid of. Brandon, you have now this is an exploding offer. You have said if it doesn't happen by September, you're retiring. What if he says he's doing this? What if he says yes?
Then we're doing it, Nick.
He hasn't thought that
then
far.
We're doing it,
he hasn't gotten that far.
It's the same thing. Did you back down to the Buffalo Mafia? Did you back down? I'm not going to back down.
Literally kill me, Brandon. He's
you know how many street fights I've been in?
The world.
You know how many street fights?
Brandon.
Street fights. They have gloves on. It's easy. That's easy. I've been boxing since I was 6 years old.
You're talking about the sweet science.
Well, I feel like we're not going to get to the bottom of that. So instead, I'll take you through my own personal life to tell you why Tom Brady is, in fact, the true GOAT. Quick story. Last night, I'm getting ready for bed. I say to my family, good night, everyone. I'm going to go prepare for the show. Steph says to me, can you just quickly get water bottles for the girls? Fine. I fill up the water bottles. I give them their water bottles by their bed. The 7-year-old. Mom, can you tell me a quick story? Tell her a quick story. I'm like, goodbye. The little one, the 5-year-old. Mom, can you tuck me in? By the time I got into bed, I was exhausted. I prepared nothing for the show and I fell asleep. My mistake? Not pulling in Tom Brady. Ahead of the Super Bowl, instead of going to one of the bedrooms in his palatial estate down in Tampa, he has literally sent his family away for what will be 12 days ahead of the Super Bowl. Instead of finding quiet time to sleep and stretch and scheme, he sent his entire family out of the house so he could have his 250,000 square foot palatial house so he could do all of his work. That and only that is why he is the true GOAT. Not the football, not anything else. That's why Tom Brady can call himself the GOAT. He knows when it's about him.
I'm sorry, Jenna.
In the house?
Tom Brady's house went from a studio apartment size to the size of the Superdome. It was there is no house that's either of those sizes.
Within 40 seconds. Within 40 seconds.
Yeah,
We are 5 days removed from said Super Bowl in that gigantic place. Chiefs were the favorites to be here. They cruised through the season. For the Bucs, the road was a little bumpier. Yesterday, Bucs linebacker Shaq Barrett turned some heads when he said that Aaron Rodgers, who the Bucs just beat, which is why the road was a little bumpy, and Patrick Mahomes, whom they are about to face, are actually quite similar. Take a listen.
It was like not a rough draft. I would say it was pretty close to a final essay with Mahomes and Rodgers. They both really similar. They're practically the same, could do the same thing. It's just Mahomes a little younger version of them. And yeah, just getting to him going to be important for us. But, yeah, like just stepping up our play at the right time, that's what we're doing, and it's working perfectly. We just got to stay consistent for this last game, and we'll be exactly where you want to be at when the clock strikes 0.
Brandon, would it be a mistake for this Bucs team to prepare for Mahomes like they prepared for Aaron Rodgers?
This is a loaded question, Jenna, because there's so much to these teams, and we don't have enough time to break down the individual matchups from the wide receivers, the tight ends, and also the offensive line. So I'm going to go back to Week 12 when they played. Nick, man, your boys could have put up 40 points on Tampa Bay and Todd Bowles. But if it wasn't for a few fluky plays, you know, it would have been lights out for Tampa even more. They end up losing by 3, but there was a few missed field goals, some fluky plays in the red zone, and there was a couple other things, mishaps in the second half. But when you look at that, what happened in the first half, Coach Todd Bowles came out, tried to play one high, played man, and they moved the ball at will. Second half, they end up smartening up, doubling Kelsey, doubling Hill, and playing soft zones and mixing it up, and they had success. So that's what they did against the Green Bay Packers. And why that is critical, because you look at the offensive line. Both offensive line, they're banged up. They're missing tackles. They're missing some of their key pieces up front. So now Shaq Barrett and JPP, they need to be enough to get pressure on Mahomes. You can't blitz Mahomes. You can't blitz Aaron Rodgers. That front four need to be able to get home, because that dude can beat you throwing the ball against the blitz and with his feet and getting outside the pocket. So for that reason, I think if they have the same game plan that they did against Green Bay with doubling Hill and Kelsey at the right time, and then also getting home with JPP and Shaq Barrett, they will have a chance. But they can't come into this game like they did Week 12 in the first half, buddy.
Brandon, that's all great analysis. I heard none of it because I was too focused on Shaq Barrett providing our first, let me write it down, bulletin board material. Oh, you hear that, Patrick? You're the same.
It wasn't.
Same as Rodgers, the man that stole your MVP.
That's
the
a
man
compliment.
that threw a pick at the end of the first half. Oh, it's a compliment.
It is a compliment.
Oh, I don't know if old Patrick's going to take it as a compliment. The only thing Patrick and Aaron Rodgers have in common is endorsement ads. And Patrick's better at that, too. Guess what Patrick Mahomes would have done, Wiles? He would have run it in on that third down. And if he hadn't, you know what I damn sure know? Patrick's coach would have trusted him to go for it on fourth. But no. Shaq Barrett says, oh, same thing. We've been here before. We've played this guy. We played him last week. We beat him. Forced a turnover. Forced critical 3-and-outs after Tom Brady threw a couple interceptions. So Brandon's analysis might all be right. That's all sounds great. Double this guy, double that guy. Have 15 guys on the field. I think that'll help probably. But what I heard was bulletin board material.
It wasn't.
I heard
That's
an
not
insult
bulletin board material.
Oh, it's bulletin board material, buddy. Let you know right now. He's insulting Patrick Mahomes. That's what it was.
He was asked that question.
Go ahead,
It was sent to him of like, hey, was this like a rough draft? He's like, oh, no. He didn't make that up out of whole cloth. He was sort of led to that. It is not trash talk. Brandon, it feels like with all, and you can break it down to be more complicated, but I'm buying the Nick Wright theory that the best defense is a good offense, that you got to play the Raiders defense, which is basically like, hey, score 40 points and hope the Chiefs get penalized a lot. Do you think that that's the actual plan? Or my second theory is this: strategic stops. just like a strategic stop of Aaron Rodgers at the end. Aaron Rodgers had a good game. I don't think that game is going to go on like the "we played awesome" plaque for the Bucs defense. But like they had strategic stops that put them in a bad spot. So do you think they're going to have to score a lot, or strategic stops, or a combination of both?
I think it's everything, Wilds. I think it's complementary football. You start with special teams, hitting yardage there. You can't have holding penalties. You can't have things called back. So, like, they have to start there and play a clean game. Defensively, you got Patrick Mahomes. You got 3 guys on that offense that are, I think, rated 99 on Madden. That's a big deal. You're not going to be able to slow these guys down. You're not going to be able to hold them to under 20. So, yeah, you have to play complementary football there. You have to be able to play bend but don't break defense. You got to play soft zones. You can't let Hill get behind you. You can't let Kelsey have 13 catches on 15 attempts. It can't happen. Absolutely not. And then offensively, Tom Brady, he has to play it. They can come in and compete right away. This is your guy. Let it come back in the Senior Bowl. All right. Beautiful.